This is Gwen Talks Radio, where intimate conversations reveal, heal, inspire, and entertain. And now, here's your host, Tess Cacciatore.
Okay, here we go. This is Gwen Talks Radio, and I am your host, Tess Cacciatore. I hope that everyone's having a great new year so far. I know there's this pandemic, epidemic, flu, cold, buggy-wuggy thing going around, and I'm blessed, knock on wood, I'm knocking on wood right now. I don't have it, and it's probably because I'm hibernating. I'm not seeing anyone just staying in and being mindful of the new year, writing, exploring, creating, and taking good care of myself. So if you are sick and have the little buggy bug, I hope that you're feeling much better very soon. So this past Sunday, I always like to try to keep everything current, even though you might be listening to this in the future. I think these topics of current events can be evergreen, which is watching the Golden Globes. There was obviously a lot of excitement going on. There was a lot of messaging going on, and there was a lot of controversy going on. So I'm not sure what side of the street you are standing in with regard to this, but I have to say I love that there's a movement going. I love the hashtag #MeToo. I totally support that, as well as hashtag Time's Up. We are creating a hashtag Beyond the Silence with our partner, Denis O'Brien, who is founding this movement. We're coming together with Global Women's Empowerment Network and doing an event here in Los Angeles that we're hoping to expand across the nation and across the world eventually. But March 5th, if you are listening before this date, please check out globalwomen'sempowermentnetwork.org, and you can find out information about the Beyond the Silence Movement Summit. So we're going to be getting together and talking about solutions. What can we do, to come together and be supportive of one another? I'm tooting the horn every day about empowerment for women, but this also has to include being empowered with each other. I know that you out there listening, because I talk about it with my girlfriends all the time, and I have my own story of women that haven't been supportive. And so what does it take to get to the place where we can trust our sisters and come together as one? And I also want to do a shout out to the men. I know that there's a lot of men out there that are really excited about the female and women empowerment and movement. And there might be some men, and according to a post that I read on Facebook the other day with my dear friend Betsy Chassie, the young boys. The young boys and the men need to be celebrated too, because there's so many fabulous men and young boys. And I just broke my heart when I read the post that Betsy put up that Max, her young son, was wondering, well, what about him? So I just want to put it out there to have a conversation within our families, within our homes, within our communities, to really talk about how can we really blend the two in unison, masculine and feminine, supporting both sides of the fence and really uplifting us as humans. And then how can we take care of the world and take care of all the animals and everything else? I mean, that's a pretty big agenda, but I'm willing to think that we can accomplish that because I have faith in humanity. Silly me, huh? Anyway, I'm really excited about my show today because I'm surrounded by amazing people. And these two women, I've been wanting them to meet one another since I've met Linda, who is the last person I met in this duo of guests today. We have two women that do so much work in Africa. It makes me feel like I'm sleeping too much, because they are moving and shaking and building houses and schools and water wells and all the things that we want to continue to do with Global Women's Empowerment Network. But these are just wonderful examples of amazing women in my life. We're going to talk to Linda Rendelmen first after the break. She's the founder of Women Like Us. And we're also going to bring on after that my dear Mama B, Bonnie Bishop, who's the founder of Friends of Africa International. We have such a great lineup of conversation. I can't wait to get these two women together. It's going to be a love fest, chat fest, and hopefully you'll feel included to want to get on board and come with us to Africa in this special episode called Out of Africa. We're going to go into Africa to go out of Africa. So anyway, can't wait to introduce you to these amazing two women, and we'll be right back.
Check out the theme song from the feature film Bloodline, Now or Never, by David Longoria featuring April Diamond. The title song, Now or Never, is available on iTunes, Amazon, and other major music streaming outlets. By buying Now or Never, you will be supporting the campaign to help end the poaching of rhinos in Africa.
Welcome back to Gwen Talks Radio. This is your host, Tess Cacciatore. I want to take this time to thank our advertisers and sponsors and invite you, if you have an event coming up, a book to promote, an organization that you want us to know about, please let us know, because we'd love to promote and talk to everybody about what's going on in their world. So as I said in the introduction, I have two amazing friends of mine, because this is the episode called Out of Africa, and we're going to talk about going into Africa. Both Linda Rendelmen and Bonnie Bishop are amazing women. I can't wait for the two of them to meet, because I've been talking about them to one another since I've been knowing that they're going to be on the show together. So I'm really excited about talking about what they've been doing in Africa and what you will be able to do, either joining them and us, or going to their organizations and supporting them and donating them and watching the miracles and magic that happen within their worlds. So I'm going to start off first with Linda Rendelmen. I met her recently. She was introduced to me through one of her colleagues, Nadia, who found me on LinkedIn. And Nadia wrote to me, and we all get thousands of emails on any given day. But this one jumped out at me because she said, I think that you would really get along with Linda because you are both from the same cloth, I guess. I can't remember the exact words, but when I looked at Women Like Us, I love the title first off. She's the president and CEO of Women Like Us. I was so excited to meet her. She founded this organization in 2009, and it is a mission of promoting gender equality and social justice through the support of women's leadership in the area of sexual abuse, homelessness, and education, which are obviously, as we know, three very important topics that I really support. She's an award-winning writer, speaker, and the author of Women Like Us book series, and in 2009, she created the Women Like Us Foundation. She's active in the United States and internationally. We're going to find out all that she's done with regard to women's organizations, coordinating volunteers, giving out grants, and the humanitarian travel that she does to raise awareness about these issues. So I could talk forever, but I'd rather just bring her onto the show. Linda, are you there?
I am. Thank you so much, Tess. I'm excited. I'm excited to get to chat with you and everyone listening.
Yes, I'm so excited because I started to tell everyone, how we met through LinkedIn, and then you and I got on the phone and I felt like I had known you forever.
Exactly.
And then you invited me to that beautiful fundraiser in Beverly Hills, and I just felt like I was home, all the amazing women. And we talk about how women need to support one another, and the love in that room was so amazing. Well, it was a rooftop, so it was a big room.
Yeah, right.
But Eden Albert, who I've known for several years on Facebook, I finally got to give her a hug in person. I got to meet you in person, and Terry Kaiser, who I adore. We went on a venture already since knowing each other in a short period of time. It was just so wonderful to be there to celebrate you. So why don't you tell our listeners about what that celebration was about and what you're working on right now?
Sure, I'm happy to do that, and then we'll move into the Kenya, I presume. So yeah,
yes.
We're kind of we are national and international, and we have initiatives here in the United States as well. Certainly, as we support some women-led initiatives in Kenya. But at that particular event in Beverly Hills, one of the things that is really, really important is that we fight sex trafficking and sexual abuse here in the United States, and we're very, very into that because because what happens is it's like that we actually just started a hashtag to go along with hashtag Me Too, and the hashtag is hashtag Her Too. And that really is, we feel that hashtag is for women that cannot speak up for themselves. Women that are in sexual abuse but can't speak up, are being sex trafficked, and don't have the ability to be able to speak up like so many women are doing right now. So that particular fundraiser was to raise funds for women-led initiatives that are fighting sex trafficking. And what I mean by that is we at the Women Like Us Foundation are all about creating awareness of women's work and then supporting them and helping them sustain their work. So we vet women in the areas of sexual abuse, which includes harassment and sex trafficking, also in the area of homelessness, which is, it's amazing. I just read an article lately, we put it on our blog actually, about women that are not, that homelessness is really made more for men than for women, because when you think about the needs of women, they can be a little bit different.
Yes.
And so so we're really involved in helping get the homeless women out of their situation, and that's through our third pillar, which is education. So it all blends together. Sex trafficking and sexual abuse, if you're educated about it, you can help fight that, or you can get out of it. You're more likely to be able to not get into it and not get drugged down that hole. So that's what that whole event at Beverly Hills was about. And then the money that we raise, we actually turn around and grant it back to women-led initiatives so that they can keep moving along. And just one quick thing, and that is that we're really about the women that are not the multi-million-dollar corporations, or not the multi-million-dollar charities, I mean. They're fabulous. They have so much help. But I guess because I never was really one of those, my passion lies in helping women that are getting started and that might not make it, but are doing great work, because it always, sadly, boils down to funds. So that's
absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that, because, we are so aligned, as we discovered on that first call and the subsequent calls and our lunches and the fundraiser and all that kind of stuff. I just love what you're up to, because there is a differentiating factor when you are homeless on the streets, especially in the areas like Skid Row. We had Justin Baldoni and Elisa Orduna on the show just 2 weeks ago, and the needs of the women in the streets in the middle of the night. You don't even think about what they have to go through. Just a simple thing in the middle of the night when you have to go to the bathroom. Right. They can't get out of their tent and go because it's so dangerous down there. Exactly. So I love the work that you're doing, and I loved the young woman that spoke, who was the survivor of sex trafficking. Can you tell a little bit about her story? I was so blown away by her courage and her spirit.
Certainly. Yeah. Tico is her name. And actually she's definitely a survivor, and she works with Journey Out, who is here in Los Angeles, and they're an organization that actually they're going to get some funding from us here next week, who work with the LAPD. And they really, really work on not only rescuing and restoring, but helping these women get back out into real lives. And so she was one of their rescued victims, and now definitely a survivor. And her story, it really was somewhat similar to what they all have their own stories, certainly, and their own particular incidents. But she, like many, many other sex trafficked victims, was abused as a child, was sexually abused as a child. And in my research and in my book, we have a whole section on sex trafficking, and it's so often that is the case with someone who does end up getting into sex trafficking because they think that's their worth, and then they are picked up and they're convinced to be with someone who eventually does move them into that. And the other piece that I always like to talk about is domestic minor sex trafficking. And that's the one that it's all very scary, and it's all something that has got to be stopped. But many, many, many children starting at age 10 up to age 16 are the ones that are in what we call domestic minor sex trafficking. And these children are just, it's almost like they almost get picked off. It's almost like they have something on their head that says, pick me. And they're usually children that are alone. They don't have a lot of parental guidance or parental watching over. And they are looking for someone to love them, someone to be a part of their lives. And the traffickers can see that and can pick that out. And they find the girls in playgrounds. They find them walking down the street. They find them at malls. They find them through friends that are already being trafficked. And so one of the important things that we like to teach people is not only how to help and how to really donate so that we can support these women that are helping to rescue them and get them back on their feet, but certainly also what the signs are, so that people like you and me can actually see that someone possibly is being trafficked and to help them.
Yes, Airline Ambassadors does a really great job in the education component, because Operation Big Sister, which I'm on the board of that organization, we have a whole education platform, a documentary, and a feature film that we're working on. And the education that is right underneath our noses in these sleepy communities, you never know that they could be right there in the manicure salon, on the schoolyard, in your home. It's just really just how do we raise awareness within our community and watch out for it, because people think it's over there in other countries, and it's right here in our own backyard.
Absolutely, it is. And that's our create awareness piece. And I don't know if you mentioned or not, but our documentary, we're just starting to show screenings on that if anyone's interested.
Yes, it was one of my things I wanted to talk about is your book and your documentary. So how do they merge together? And I know last time we met, you were in the process of doing some post-production on it. So where are we with that, and how can we help you? Because we have a distribution channel now that we can help you get it out there.
Yes, we must talk about that for sure. Well, it is being shown. One way it's being shown is through Gaither Films right now, and we've been showing it really. Sally's been taking that on. She's the director, and she's been showing it across the country. And then with the Women Like Us Foundation, what we do with the film is we raise funds so that we can give it back to these women, and we are showing it publicly. And we have a big gala coming up in Indiana, which is where our foundation started, and that's in February. And then we're also having some private showings to fundraise that way. We're doing one in Beverly Hills. I believe early February is the date on that one. So, I
must get all these dates in my calendar to come and support you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So, but my point of bringing that up is that we do look at that, and I myself did a ride along one night with the sex trafficking with a gal, and it's completely eye opening. I won't go into it now, but it's quite the experience. And so in the film, my daughter Kat Sadler, who's the co-producer, she rides along one night in the bowels of LA, and it's a pretty eye opening piece in the film.
And by the way, you mentioned your daughter's name, so I might just want to do a shout out and a congratulations to her for just being a role model of wonderful proportions, of standing up for her rights in the industry. Amazing.
Thank you.
I was standing up and applauding, going, "Yay!"
Her mama was too.
I know. I was hearing you cheer from across town. So we're going to talk about Kenya and Africa right now, because then I want to bring on Bonnie Bishop, because the three of us are going to talk about the magic that we can all do together and the coalition that you and I were talking about. So let's talk about your work in Kenya.
Oh, certainly. Kenya just grabbed my heart, first of all, and I have a feeling Bonnie knows what I'm talking about for sure. And that was a long time ago. I went with my older daughter on safari, and it was never ever planning to go to Kenya. So fast forward, and loved it, of course. And so fast forward in our foundation, we have a friend who's an international artist, and she had been to Kenya to paint, and she had happened upon this school it was just a few little children in a little bungalow, and but the woman there, her name was Mrs. Tom, wanted to give them education. They were all orphans. And so Nancy became part of our foundation. And so the first women-led initiative that we started supporting in Kenya was the N.A. Noel School. So we support 3 initiatives over there. We travel over there every year or 18 months, something like that. We hope we'll be going again this June. And we have these 3 women that we support. So just geographically, the way we go to them is, and what we do, of course, is we invite people to come with us. It's not just a women's trip. It can be men as well. And it's really very eye-opening for our travelers. And it's very, very gratifying because we work with the children and the women, and it's really very much a hands-on trip. So we have three areas of these women that we support that also fit in with what we do. So the first is Kim DeWitt, who has a home for girls that are victims of FGM. And she has been a part of rescuing them. And also sometimes the police will bring them to her, or they will find their way to her. And most of these girls are victims of FGM. This is also in our film. And also, or some of them are at risk of early childhood marriage. So the girls range anywhere from, I think the youngest one, honestly, is 5 up to about 15. So we help support that. We go there. We help create awareness of Kim. Again, she's in the film and also in my book, and her work, which is fabulous, and try to help support her financially. Which is, in fact, that we did another fundraiser in the fall where we raised quite a bit of money for Kim. So the other one is the Noel School, and there's 260 kids there now. It started out with about 20. And we're very, very excited about what we're doing there. We can really see some difference when we go back, which is so rewarding. You know, you have to deal with the basics at first. You have to help them get the food. And when we were there, so we've been sending food, or rather money, for them to get, dried beans and millet and rice and that sort of thing. But this past time when we were there last June, we helped them build a garden. And so now they already had some corn started, but we helped with the spinach and also the kale. And they so proudly send us pictures of the garden and how it's growing. And so our goal with them is to not only help to get a good education for the kids, but also for them to be self-sustainable. And the other project that we're working on is getting them clean water. So when the kids have clean water and they have healthy food, then they can really start growing, and we're measuring that as this happens. They only had 5 textbooks per 30 kids, so we are applied for a grant that I believe we're going to get, so that we're going to be able to have 30 textbooks for every single course. And also, we found a way to be able to pay the teachers more money because they were losing teachers. They were paying the teachers $50 a month. And the going teacher salary there is $150 a month. So we've upped that so that the teachers won't have to leave in order to make more funds. And then thirdly, the last group is a wonderful woman by the name of Ann Kabui. And what's so great about technology is she and I Skype together about once a month, and it just feels so good to be connected to her and so far away and be able to hear about the progress that they're making. And just 2 areas we're helping them with. One is with teen girls education, although she points out to me very much that if we get the teen girls educated, we better make sure the boys are educated too, or the teen girls won't have good husbands. So I thought that was pretty brilliant. So, which is true.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But so we partnered with a wonderful organization called Days for Girls, and Days for Girls makes the sanitary, the feminine hygiene kits that are sustainable. And so we've found a women's sewing group in Alaska, and we raise funds. They make these sustainable feminine hygiene kits. We took them up a wonderful film on our website where we've taken these kits to the teen girls. And what it does, they're washable. So instead of when they're have a menses, typically what girls will do is they don't go to school. They drop out 5 to 6 days a month because they don't have any protection, that they're embarrassed. As you can imagine, we all would be. But now these allow for a girl to stay in school for 2 to 3 years because they're washable. And this film, if you get a chance to look on our website, their eyes are just lit up, and they're hugging these little kits of sustainable feminine hygiene kits. And they're saying, we get to stay in school. We get to stay in school. We make good education. So that's just so rewarding to know that first of all, that Celeste Mergen from Days for Girls created this product, and that we can now take it over and help keep these girls in school. And then the final thing is also, Anne Kabwe at her charity we helped her start she'd started it, but now we're helping to support a program for women, where we found this wonderful donor who wanted to help women in a micro enterprise kind of fashion. So we have been sending money over, and we've watched them get chickens and grow and watch the chickens grow up, and then sadly watch the chickens end up going to the restaurants to sell them, so that they can get money. And so they're reproducing these chickens. And also we help them with putting together a garden so that they now can sell the vegetables and everything that they grow at the market and make money that way. So, and they all said what they're doing is, with their profits, each one of them right now are getting clean water, digging wells in by their homes, so they'll have clean water in the house. It's just amazing how important that water thing is, isn't it?
Oh my gosh. Well, clean water, I realized the importance of that and the crisis that we were going to go under when I went to the World Summit on the Sustainable Development in Johannesburg in 2002. And I was devastated to find out where we are now. And, we at Global Women's Empowerment Network and my other foundation, World Trust Foundation, we're all about clean water as well. I just spoke to my young son in Ghana. He lives in a village that we brought some clean water supplies there, and the Waves for Water, I think it's Sawyer filters, the one that we're using. But we're looking to take the whole system and bring it in. And now Terry's working with you on the water wells. There's so much we can talk about. I need to take a break here for a couple of seconds here. And when we come back, we're going to introduce you to one of my dearest. Mama Bees is my nickname for her. Her name's Bonnie Bishop, Friends of Africa International. So thank you, Linda. Stay on, because I want the three of us to be able to gab a little bit about what we can all do together. And in the meantime, we'll be right back.
Hey everyone, this is Justin Baldoni, and you are listening to Gwen Talks Radio. Please, please, please come join me at this year's Skid Row Carnival of Love, a day of joy and love and service where we give all of those experiencing homelessness the gift of being seen, heard, and loved. To find out more info, check us out on skidrowcarnivaloflove.org. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So here we are, Gwen Talks Radio. This is your host, Tess Cacciatore. I am so excited because ever since I met Linda, which was recently, but I feel like I've known her a lifetime, I have been wanting her to meet Bonnie. So it just worked out that we can all get on this call together, because Bonnie is my Mama Bee. She is the mother of a very dear friend of mine. And when I first met her daughter, Snowden and Star, we were working on this Life is Beautiful event in Vegas. And the minute the two of them met me, they started giggling between themselves. Like they had this secret. And they kept saying, wait till you meet Snowden's mom. Wait till you meet Snowden's mom. And they must have taunted and teased me for a couple of years before I had the pleasure of being able to meet Mama B. And when I got there to Arizona, she welcomed me with open arms. I felt like I was in her home, was like my home. Her and her husband were so gracious, and she had hosted this amazing luncheon for the First Lady. So we had the First Lady of Arizona, we had the First Lady of Kenya, we had the First Ladies of everything. And this event was so special because what they were doing is that they were partnered with Project Cure, and she's going to talk about the details of what they did with that fundraiser. But beyond that, She has done so many things in Africa. She started a craft center in Nairobi, which housed 18 original shops, a restaurant, a cultural center, a playground, and a dance troupe. And if that wasn't enough, years later, she kept continuing on, and she's built a school for the Pokot tribe, which is in northeast Kenya. And she's raised money to build the first preschool for the East Pokot children in 2012. Then she built a small clinic and rebuilt that. And then so much to do with the hospital and the school and the water wells. And June 8th, we're going to talk about this fabulous event that I'm hoping that Linda will be there. I'm working my best to be there and do a live stream on it. So we're going to talk about that as well. So Bonnie, Mama B, are you there?
I am. Thank you so much.
I love you too. I could just talk about your introductions for an hour because you both are so amazing and so accomplished, and I'm so full of love. So
thank you, and so full of love for you too. But I'm sitting here getting all puffed up, all these wonderful things you're saying about me.
Well, you need to be puffed up. All of us get to be puffed up because you are doing such amazing work. Let's back up and talk about that luncheon. That was fabulous. And to meet the First Lady of Kenya, who is a dear friend of yours, it was so exciting to see all that you did with Project Cure. Tell our listeners about what actually, that truck that was filled with the medical supplies. Fill in the blanks and let our people know that what you did and how you went and got all these supplies for the hospital.
Well, we partnered with a company called Project Cure. They are the largest supplier of used medical equipment in the world. They send medical equipment to all the developing countries. What you must do first, though, is we must raise the money and have an assessor come over and assess the needs of whatever hospitals that you want to have furnished. And we did that. Katie Mabarty came, and what a wonderful week it was, and we assessed 2 hospitals and 2 clinics. Then the next thing after that, then you must start raising money to have a container set. Well, raising the money, $20,000 is quite high. So it's very, very difficult. But in the meantime, Project Cure always does a First Ladies Luncheon. One year it's in Denver and one year it's in Phoenix. Well, I knew at the time that I met them that the next one was going to be in Phoenix. I just happened to know the First Lady. So I approached Dr.
Oh, you just
Jackson
happened to be best friends with the First Lady.
Right.
No big deal.
And I said, can we please bring, Margaret Kenyatta over? And he said, if you can get her here, fine. So, of course, when I went back to Kenya, I managed to see her. And then when Katie came over, we both went, and Katie offered her a very formal invitation for this, which she accepted. And it was such a fantastic week when they came. She came with an entourage of 40 people, and we had the entire week planned. And we had worked so hard for this. I mean, it was just, I had all the centerpieces and all things like this with my workshop in Kenya, and then we exported them to the States so everything could be used and all African artifacts and all. It was really, really exciting. But what was so exciting was the first day that I had hosted a luncheon for the whole entourage in Project Cure's warehouse. And I drove in early in the morning, and there was the container. And I cannot tell you, I sat there and cried. It was so exciting to see. It's finally happened. And here is the container, a 40-foot container filled with $1 million worth of medical equipment that was going to the hospital that I had been working with for the past year and a half.
I'm so glad you clarified that 40-foot container, because I saw a video of it, and when you say container, it could be like, what? It's like, 2 feet or something. It was 40 feet long and filled to the brim.
And we packed it that day, and even the First Lady was picking up boxes and shoving them in. It's amazing how they pack it. And they left then 2 days later, and they arrived in Mombasa. This was March. They arrived in Mombasa the first part of May. And when the containers come in for the hospitals, they usually do a huge, huge celebration. Well, my husband was very ill at the time, and there was no way that I could leave. And I was so sorry to have to miss the celebration. But bless her heart, the First Lady said, we're not having a celebration until Bonnie comes. So that's what happened. They waited for me, and I was able to go in July. And the celebration itself was just phenomenal. Thousands of people attend this, and it's such a happy occasion because, particularly with the Pokot tribe, they're really the forgotten tribe, and they are so needy and need so much, and they have not had so much. This Chimalangat Hospital, for example, there was a police skirmish at one point, and a policeman got shot, and they took him to Chimalangat Hospital, and the only thing they had to take the bullet out of his leg was with a kitchen knife. So this is how needy these hospitals are. So I was so thrilled that we were able to bring a container, all of medical supplies to them. So that was my big project last year. Before that, I built a preschool in East Pokot, and a very, very needy place in Kenya. It's 99% illiterate. They don't speak English. They don't speak Swahili. They only speak Pokot, and that is not a written language, so it's very difficult to learn. But I worked with them, and it's working with the mamas. They need education so badly, not only the children, but the mamas. They need to learn about hygiene. They need to know that we can't go to the river and fill up a plastic container of river water and come back and give your baby a drink. Dysentery is just rampant there. So is malaria. But the whole area, everyone is so sick. We lost 6 young children to measles. A lot of them are preventable. The biggest killer with the people, though, are the mothers delivering babies right after they've been circumcised. And it has been, the mortality rate is high. And that is a big killer. Another big killer that people don't probably even think about are snake bites. So that kills many, many people. When the people get sick in that area, I ask the question, well, what do they do? Well, they go home and die. And that broke my heart. So this is why I've been working so hard on the medical aspects of this, even more so than the educational. Who can learn when you're so sick? So we've got to get Kenya healthy. And the First Lady has provided these beautiful, state-of-the-art medical mobile clinics, and each county got one. Well, the county that the Pokot are in is Baringo County, and it's the largest county. So one mobile clinic really isn't enough. So we are furnishing what they call their boda-bodas, which are motorbikes, and having the back of them retrofitted with all first aid equipment. The drivers are being trained in first aid. Everyone there has a cell phone. So if they're in trouble, they need help, they call the clinic where the little boda-boda is, and they will be able to get to them and administer first aid. So we're hoping to maybe eventually have a fleet of 6 of them, but we'll start off with 1, and hopefully that will suffice until we can raise some money to get more. So
how much would one of those units be? How much money would we have to raise for that?
Probably $2,500.
Okay, so for $2,500 times 6, that feels like a very doable thing, and it just is such a great solution. The medical side of it, of course. When you said who can think about education when you're so sick, it's so true. And a lot of these things are preventable in this day and age. It's a very sensitive topic, but because there's some people that say to me, why don't you pay attention to people in your own backyard in the United States? Why go to Africa? And I say, well, we do work in the United States, but there's just something about being over there. And then the other flip side, and I'm not sure, I'd love to open up the conversation with you all, is that, here we are, 3 American white women. And a lot of times they say, that there's that savior side of it. Even just within watching Road to Redemption, they thought that there was the white woman that came to save, and none of us are from that. We're from the heart. So let me try to end this conversation. I think it's a really important conversation because to me, it doesn't matter what color you are, what gender you are, where you're from. We just need to get the work done.
Yeah, if I can add one more thing to this, when people say, why aren't you tending to people here? We are. We have adopted 2 refugee families that have come from war-torn Congo, and they have come to Arizona, and we have adopted 2 of them. This includes 15 children. And so we go on expeditions, buying them all shoes, taking them to the doctors, introducing them to the American way of life, for which they've had no clue when they came in. They didn't know what a light switch was. They didn't know what a toilet was. How do you turn on water? And it's amazing working with these people and how gracious they are and how loving they are. So we do work in America too.
And you know, and at the end of the day, the world isn't that large. It's getting smaller and smaller all the time, and we're all women. I mean, you know, and we have what I like to say is our stories may be singular, but our passions are shared as women. And our passions are about collaboration, and they're about our children. They're about mothering the world, quite honestly. And we need to all come together and not feel so separate. So there's women in Kenya, there's women in Uganda, there's women in Arizona, there's women in California. I mean, we're all here together, and there's a lot of work to be done. And, you know, I think we as women are rising up and going to make sure that continues to happen in even a bigger way. So we faced a lot of that at the beginning, too. In fact, when we started our foundation, we were not just in Kenya. We were in Kenya. We worked in an orphanage in India. We were in Serbia. We were in Uganda, at a birthing center in Uganda that I still watch and see what she's doing. So we did a lot of things outside of the United States. And we did get, although we were working in the United States as well, but we did get some flack from that. It was kind of hard to get donors, you know, because it was like, well, what are you doing right here? So anyway, I think we've come up with a pretty good balance, but I think we're always going to have people that, you know, don't feel like we do. But you know what? It's like, honestly, Oprah Winfrey said, which I thought was perfect, when she first started the Oprah show, and she said, we're going to run our own race. We are not going to look back and see what other people want us to do. We are going to move forward with our own particular race. And, you know, I think that's what we do. And we find our niche as women, and we may have to tweak it here and there. I tend to have to do that because I want to do everything, and then I have to, so I guess I can't do everything. But
I know, I think that's all of us have that same thing about the overachieving of, you know, we have to do this and this and this and this, and the human race is the race that we're involved in, not any particular race, you know.
There you go. I love that. Thank you, Tess. That's right.
Well, I love that too. But in my case, so, you know, with each birthday, I think, how much time do I have left? Am I going to get it all done? Because what I want to accomplish is so long.
Yeah.
So I just have to blowing out those birthday candles.
We just have to put that list together. You know, I was talking to Linda just last week, and Bonnie, I mentioned it briefly, and we want to put together a mastermind of women organization leaders that can come together. And of course, men are always invited to, you know, to be a part of it, because we all have amazing men that are supporting this, and the whole balance of the masculine and feminine is really important, which I talked about in the opening of the show.
Right.
You know, that it is women like us and Friends of Africa with women involved in Global Women's Empowerment Network. There's plenty of room for men to be involved, and I think this coalition is really, for me, about being able to support one another. And I've been barking this tune since 1993 with World Trust Foundation, that we get to come together. It's time for us to come together and work in the same circle and provide support for one another, because I think we can probably all tell stories that would keep us on our radio show for the next 3 hours of, you know, a woman in our life that may not have served us right. You know, and maybe, you know, there's ways that we can really educate and inspire one another to be better to one another.
Yeah, it's still hanging around. Boy, it's just right now, though, it's just seems like we're all sisters, and it's so fabulous. So, but that
really is, isn't it? The atmosphere is so.
It's so exciting. So, yeah, Bonnie, I want you to tell everyone about the June 8th event, because Gwen is looking about talking about coming there and live streaming, or at least filming it and being able to share that. But I want Linda to hear about it too, because maybe we can all combine our efforts. Because
I hope so, and be there for it. It's going to be fantastic. I'm leaving for Kenya next week, and I'm because for the next 6 months or so, it's going to be my number one focus. It's going to be held in the Go Down in the industrial area of Nairobi, and the place is absolutely huge. It's an artist colony, And as we walk in, we're given the champagne cocktails, and then there's a big art gallery right there that they can go in. And then we'll have in the hallway corridor, on the way back to the huge room, will be all silent auction items. And then in the huge room will be a runway. And the lady I work with, who's part of Friends of Africa, also Kira Goodall, is a National Geographic filmmaker and photographer. And she and her partner have been filming the Samburu, the Maasai, and the Pokot in the pastoral areas in their native dress and costumes. And so these pictures will be blown up on 12 by 12 foot size. And as their picture is pulled up, the model that's in the picture will actually be live and coming out on the stage and showing everything, all to African music. And in addition, we have my friend McKenna, who has the African Heritage Show. And these are costumes from all over the continent of Africa with all African music and drummers and all. It's going to be a very, very exciting evening. And it will be a formal dinner, but we will also be able to sell tickets in the back for people that just want to come and see the show. They don't have to stay for the dinner. And then, of course, we will have a whole raft of VIPs. And hopefully, First Lady, perhaps even the President will come as our guest. We're keeping our fingers crossed. So it's going to be exciting.
I'm
June
so
8th.
excited. June 8th is coming up, and we're going to be talking about doing a live stream, and it depends on the technology there. We're going to be talking to Kira this week and getting all that planned up and being able to film it. And on our network, we'll be able to do a click to donate to raise money for that organization and the cause, and bringing the African fashions and the music and the dance. Oh, my gosh. Linda, I hope that you and Terry and the gals will be there.
Oh, would that be so fun?
Well,
yes.
We have to preserve the culture of Kenya and all of Africa.
Right.
And
I think all over the world.
That's
That's one thing that makes me really sad. All the travels that I've done over the last 20 years, and I know you two ladies can concur. I love to see the traditional culture and the clothing, even in Cambodia and Thailand when we visited the orphanages, to see the kids in the traditional gowns and wardrobe. And it's so beautiful.
It is.
Everything's becoming so westernized.
Right, and even when I drive up country, and you see the Maasai and the Samburu and the red shukas and the feathers, and I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. I just hope they keep it forever.
And that's something that I've learned with working with the initiatives that we work with is we're not there to make them like us.
That's right.
They're already women like us. Sorry, had that
little plug there. That's a great one.
But we're not trying to Americanize them. We want to preserve who they are, and we want to preserve their ways. Well,
I know. Unfortunately, we're having competition with that. There are different groups that go in and try to Americanize them, and it just breaks my heart.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Well, we have a lot of work to do, ladies, and I'm so glad that we could do it on Gwen Talks Radio tonight and then let this be the blossoming flower in the garden that just keeps going, because the work that you're doing, I'm so humbled because I think, wow, I want to do more, let's all do more, just to be able to support you all.
Thank you so much. Linda, are you going to be in Kenya soon?
If we go this year, it'll be June. Yeah.
Oh, it will be June. How wonderful.
Yes.
How timely.
Right. I know.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Well, we'll keep in touch with each other for sure.
I would love that. And, I have to tell you that you do live in Scottsdale?
Yes, I do.
My sister just moved there about a year ago, and she's always lended a hand volunteering and so forth. And it's just
how
funny.
Wonderful.
Yeah, she just said to me over Christmas, I'm ready to give back. I'm going to look for some places to give back. So,
there's the connect the dots.
If you could give me her contact, because we're having an event just next week. One of our board members who's had an extraordinary life and a list of degrees that, are just amazing. She's doing an evening of inspiration and telling her story. And so we're having a dessert and coffee. And we're expecting a lot of people to come. And hopefully your sister could come. That would be wonderful.
I know. Wouldn't that be great? Yeah. I'll definitely, we can connect off the show here. But, I'd like to make an introduction for sure.
I will definitely be connecting you too, because magic is already blossoming right here in front of my eyes. I love this. So I just want to do, every week I do a charity spotlight. So it seems so obvious that we do friendsofafricaaz.org, spelled out friendsofafricaaz.org.
And womenlikeusfoundation.org.
And also the new hashtag, let's support the hashtag #HerToo. I love that. Me Too, Her Too. We also have the Beyond the Silence movement that we just started this week during the Golden Globes, partnering with Denise O'Brien, so we can really share our stories. And that's the beauty about this radio show for me, is that we get to reveal and heal. So thank you both so much for coming on the show. I'm just so blessed to know you in real life. It's not like just some kind of, random guest. I really try to handpick beautiful people that I want to shine a spotlight on, because there's so many beautiful people like you doing wonderful work in the world. I want to celebrate you.
And you, Tess. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Special. We love you, and I just can't wait for all of us to get together again. Yes. Wonderful.
Very soon. Well, right after the break, we are going to bring on a music inspiration beyond. And I can't wait for Linda and Bonnie to hear them, because maybe they'll even travel to Kenya for the June 8th event. They are the Ghanda Boys. I met them a few years ago through Linda Cruz, who I'm doing a shout out. She's another amazing woman that's a Gwen luminary as well. And I just love these guys. I've been with them in New York and here in Los Angeles. I've done events with them. We did a beautiful event for the First Lady of Zambia, and they came to perform. Denis Mugagga and Daniel Sewagudde and Craig Pruess are the three guys, are the Ghanda Boys. And they just are releasing a new album. They have 15 songs on the new album. My gosh, they're prolific beyond. And this song that I chose is called KIBUNO MU from their latest album. And hopefully they'll be in Los Angeles soon, because I think there's whispers of perhaps a Grammy nomination, hopefully. So we're going to take a break, listen to this song, and I encourage you to look up the Ghanda Boys, because they're really amazing. friendsofafricaaz.org, womenlikeusfoundation.org. And right after the song, as we always do, we're going to go right into a Mind Over Matter minute, where we encourage you, at least this minute of the day, to take time for yourself, to breathe, to meditate, to be grateful, to go into prayer, to do whatever you do to center yourself. And hopefully that minute will turn into the next minute, and then the next minute, and then every 24 hours you're living in bliss and joy. So we'll be right back with the Ghanda Boys. And thank you so much to my beautiful lady friends.
Thank you.
so long. When I get it, what the when I get it, what the when I get Uganda, when I get Musoga, what the when I get them Wankole, when I get Matawantu, what the when I get it, what the when I get what the
And now, a Mind Over Matter Minute.
Oh my gosh, I am filled with so much joy. I don't know if I need to take more breaths in the Mind Over Matter Minute or replay that song and dance through the streets. Because whenever I hear African music, it just gets me excited about going back, which I'm looking forward to doing so. Hopefully in June to be there with Bonnie Bishop, Friends of AfricaAZ.org, and Women Like Us Foundation.org. Please check them out as well. And hopefully Linda and Terry and Eden and the gals, Nadia and all the gals will be there together, and we can just rock the house and really appreciate the divine culture that all of Africa gets to bring to the world, and to be able to celebrate them and be able to work together in unity. Once again, thank you to the Ghanda boys, Dennis, Daniel, Craig, for your beautiful new album and bringing such music to the world that sends beautiful messages. KIBUNO MU was the song that we played today for our music inspiration shout out. So what is important to you? What do you want to do to lay out the next steps of your life? What is it that you want to do to give back to yourself, to your community, to the world? So it's really wonderful thoughts to ponder, and hopefully you can interact with us on our website and through social media. You can check us out at Beyond the Silence Movement on Facebook, and also Global Women's Empowerment Network on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. And remember, as always, the world is much better with you in it. And until next time, be blessed.
Thank you for listening. Visit us at gwen.live and join our Gwen community. Share what's on your mind.